Hi, I'm Taylor with Mom on the Spectrum, and I'm here today to talk about things that autistic adults, either self or professionally diagnosed, want their friends and family to know about their experiences. So if you're watching this and you're a family member or friend of someone who is self or professionally diagnosed as autistic, I would just ask that you keep an open mind throughout this video and come at it with a sense of curiosity. How can I better understand and appreciate the experiences of this person in my life who wants to share their life with me, right? That's pretty cool that they want to share their life with you. So I hope that you'll see this as an opportunity to learn and grow. And in the comments, maybe we can have some good discussion going on what this experience is like for both the autistic adult and the family members and friends. So this is the vibe I'm going with today. Robe and earrings. I don't know. It just happened and I'm rolling with it. So as I said, I'm Taylor. I was diagnosed as autistic at the age of 31 and almost 34 now. Since my diagnosis, I have spent time working with, learning from the autistic community and creating resources to help us better understand and support ourselves and each other. So if that sounds like something that would be helpful to you or someone in your life, if you would subscribe to the channel, that would be a great gift that you could give to the channel and help extend our reach of services that we're able to provide to people around the world. So what do autistic adults want you to know about their experience? First of all, why do they need a diagnosis? Why do they need to keep talking about this? Why do they need to start talking about the fact that they think they're autistic when they're 35 or 40 and they've lived so much of their life without this diagnosis? What is it going to change now? My answer is everything. Literally everything. Okay, you can go from one day like questioning who you are and not knowing why you're so different and why everything feels so hard for you and why you feel like a fake every single day, to coming to understand that you're autistic, and it's like your whole life just locks into focus. It's a sigh of relief. It's like coming home. It's like finally being able to breathe in your own body without feeling like an imposter. And it's just this feeling of like, wow, I can quit striving. Like I can quit fighting to figure out, to be a person. Like I am a person, I'm whole, there's nothing wrong with me. I have a different way of doing things and experiencing the world and showing up in the world. It changes everything. It really does. For me, the greatest thing that it has added to my life is a feeling of self-compassion and grace. And just being able to make tiny little accommodations for myself that actually add up to just be monumental differences. Like, for example, I keep thinking putty with me all the time. This is not an ad, I'm not with them, but just I keep little stems with me all the time. I won't make this make sound because some of you don't like the way it sounds. But I keep fidgets with me all the time to help alleviate like excess tension that's in my body. I have earbuds that I wear out all the time that lessen sensory overwhelm for me, and they make just such a huge difference in everyday life. I schedule my days differently, just knowing how much an event will take out of me so that I can have recovery time afterwards. It helps me to show up more fully in the situations that I'm in because I can better allocate my energy and resources knowing like what's coming up and how I best show up in those circumstances and environments. So there's two images that I like to mention whenever talking about autistic adults' experiences, particularly high masking autistic adults, which just means adults who have become particularly skilled at developing social behaviors and skills to appear like you're not having a hard time. That was a little bit wordy, but hopefully you catch my drift. Okay, so the two pictures are, one, an iceberg. The struggles that you see us go through on the outside, tip of the iceberg. Like there's just so much more beneath the surface that you have no idea about, which brings me to the second picture of just a duck swimming peacefully on a pond. So if you're sitting on the bank of the pond and watching this duck, they look so graceful and even and at peace, but under the water, their legs are just working like crazy to get them to where they're going. And so for a lot of high masking individuals, that's what it feels like every day, working so freaking hard to make it appear that everything is okay. And that's the only way that we've known how to live for so long, because we haven't had the word autistic or sensory overwhelm or meltdowns or shutdowns. to be able to understand our experience. So we keep pushing, we keep striving to be better, to do differently, to try to maybe be able to keep up with everyone else, instead of realizing that maybe those standards aren't the ones that we need to be aiming for. And maybe our own standards are equally significant and important, and we can get there in a different, more supported, well-rounded way for us. I mentioned a little bit earlier, this can feel like we're faking it every day. It can lead to this tremendous feeling of imposter syndrome, where we don't feel like we're actually an authentic version of ourselves, that we're just faking it to get by. Because essentially, we've taught ourselves to do that, right? Like, this social situation feels uncomfortable, so I'm going to laugh at jokes that I don't understand. I'm going to talk when I don't want to talk. I'm going to wear clothes that make me extremely itchy and unable to focus on what anybody is saying. And so all of those decisions that we make to appear socially different actually come at a great cost. And that cost is our sense of self and our sense of being able to identify who we are and what we want and need and how we actually want to show up in the world. So that significant cost, it catches up to us, especially later in life. There's all of this huge cost to living the way that we have, masking for so long. And many people will say, whenever it gets to the point of them seeking a diagnosis, our demands have exceeded our capacity. Our demands have exceeded our capacity. So for many, this is like a big life event, like having kids, getting married, getting a new job. Something like that will trigger this new experience of like, okay, I can no longer sustain what I was doing before because the demands have now become too great. And there's just not enough emotional resources, there's not enough physical resources, psychological resources to be able to carry out these same demands that have been on my life. So what happens at this stage is that we hit a crossroads where we have to decide, do we keep going forward, living life the way we always have, masking, which leads to just intensely uncomfortable burnout that can shut us down for months or years, or trying to find a better way to cope and understand our experiences, which is leading many at this point to pursue an autism diagnosis. And what I find time and time again for people that are late diagnosed, it changes everything. Just having more vocabulary to communicate about our experiences. I mentioned some earlier: sensory overwhelm, meltdown, shutdown, burnout, autistic inertia, demand avoidance. Some of these you might be hearing for the first time, needing to stim. All of these pieces of language and vocabulary and terms can be so helpful puzzle pieces of understanding yourself and putting your life together in a way that finally makes sense. And this can be it is a very overwhelming experience, because all of a sudden you look back at the rest of your life and you're thinking, who am I? Who am I under the mask? And what am I really like? What do I really want? What do I really need? And the answer to that is it's going to take some time to find out. I mean, when you've spent a considerable amount of your life trying to blend in a way to make other people accept you, that comes at the cost of sacrificing your own wants and needs. And so to the autistic people watching, I would say, give yourself grace and patience as you figure out those wants and needs. That starts by one decision at a time. Voicing what you actually want, choosing to go this way to work instead of this way to work because you like the scenery better. Just small little choices like that you can make throughout the day that support things that actually feel good to you. And that will be something to work on for the rest of your life, that I think can be really exciting and kind of this brave new world of exploring who you are and what else life has to offer us. Also, you can stop gaslighting yourself. There's so many of us who feel like we've talked ourselves out of our own experiences because other people experience it differently. So telling ourselves, why are you having such a hard time with this? It's not that hard. Just, go to the event like everybody else is doing, or, just stay here in this uncomfortable situation, even though your skin feels like it's crawling and burning and itching. It's like we just gaslight ourselves into thinking that our experience is not as real or intense as it actually is. And so that can make you feel crazy, honestly. It can make you feel like, I don't know whose life I'm living. Is what I am experiencing real? And that will completely wear you down to the point where you have nothing left to give yourself or others. So this ability to quit gaslighting yourself and to look at your experiences and say, no, that's real. That was a really intense experience, and it affected me differently than the other people for XYZ reasons. And in addition to gaslighting ourselves, there's also a tremendous mental burden that comes with just thinking so hard about every decision in our lives. Like, do we want to mask and do it this way, or do we want to be honest about how we're really feeling? And then the burden that comes with sifting through all the associated thoughts, it's like, sometimes I don't even know how I'm able to like show up in person and have a conversation, because the mental chatter is just so convoluted, and something I've gotten used to over the years of trying to go back and forth and decide, how do I want to show up in the world? And so I will say, since my diagnosis, that chatter has lessened significantly and continues to do so every day as I learn how to better accommodate myself and speak up for my own wants and needs. And lastly, I would just say the major thing that this has helped me with is self-care and accommodations. So I think I mentioned it earlier, but just tiny decisions throughout the day that help me better support myself, that help me take better care of myself. I know that a hot bath is going to be really soothing and regulating for me after, a hard conversation or a school event with my kids. I know that certain meals are going to be really comforting to me and help me come down after stressful experiences. So all of these little discoveries really amount to a world of difference in my experience every single day. I feel like for the first time that, when I look in the mirror, I'm like, I know who that person is. Like, I see me first, and I don't see who I think I should be first. Like, why would you not want to give yourself that? And I guess the last thing I'll say is, people aren't just, so excited to use the term autism for their lives. I mean, it's a highly misunderstood and controversial word in a lot of ways. And so there aren't just droves of people out here like, yes, I want to apply that to my life just for the heck of it, right? People in the autistic community genuinely, before they use this term, I mean, the vast majority of people that I get to work with, we go into a research hole and we learn every single thing we can about what it means to be autistic. And one really cool thing that I hear from people on the spectrum all the time, they don't want to use this label and take it away from other people who need it more. And so there's this empathetic response in a lot of ways where autistic adults are like, I don't want to appropriate this term. I want to make sure that I'm using it correctly. And so I just say that again to say there's not these hordes of people out here just saying like, I'm autistic, I'm autistic, I'm autistic. The people who are using these terms that I've worked with and that I get to work with every day, we take this seriously. We research the heck out of it. We want to make sure that we're respecting the autistic community in every way, shape, and form. And to wrap up the video today, I just want to share one comment that was left by But One Life. And I really think that this just beautifully encapsulates the importance of late diagnosis. They said, I'm only just processing the realization that I'm autistic. I'm 57. I always knew I was very different, but I never put two and two together to see the answer is autism. I'm in the mind-blown stage. I feel incredible relief and a whole bunch of other things I've yet to parse. My life suddenly makes sense. All these things that have caused such psychological distress no longer do. All the things that made me feel so less than can now be filtered into another box, one with which I can be gentle, that I can look at without recoiling or despairing. I'm understanding the whys, and it feels amazing. So again, if you're watching this video as a family member or friend of someone who is late diagnosed autistic, either self or professionally diagnosed, I feel it's important to respect both of those. That's a topic for another video. Thank you for watching to better understand this person's experience. I just encourage you to continue to interact with them with curiosity, not judgment, but a place of being curious about what their experiences are like. And stay open to learning new things. There's so much that we're all still learning about how autism really presents in adults and especially women. And it's important that we keep this conversation going by respecting each other, by asking questions, by honoring each other's values and experiences. and offering validation whenever we can. It really changes so much. It'll help strengthen your relationships. It will help you support one another. And I'd love to hear in the comments how these conversations are going for y'all between friends and family members, what y'all are learning about each other, and what else you would add to the conversation. So again, if this video was helpful to you, if you could please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, that's an awesome gift. If you would like further support for navigating autistic life, you can check out momonthespectrum.life/community and check out community groups that I offer throughout the week where you can meet up with other autistic adults and learn and share life experiences. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.